In the headlines, Court of Appeal set aside judgment that nullified the election of Senator Aisha Binani as the Adamawa State APC governorship candidate. Afenifere leader backs Labour Party presidential candidate's bid. Senate calls for suspension of Zungeru power plant concession. And on the foreign scene, rescuers in Indonesia pull 6-year-old boy from rubble after deadly quake. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Hello and welcome once again. We begin with politics, where the Court of Appeal sitting in Yola has set aside the High Court judgment nullifying the APC governorship primaries in the state that produced Aisha Binani and Emmanuel Boacha as the party's governorship candidates for Adamawa and Taraba states. The court on Thursday ordered that their names should be forwarded to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, as APC governorship candidates for both states. Last month, the Federal High Court, sitting in Yola, nullified APC primary that produced Binani as the party's governorship candidate for Adamawa. Justice Abdul Aziz Anka declared that the judgment was based on substantial evidence of non-compliance with the party guidelines and that of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Nuhu Ribadu, who came second during the exercise, had dragged Binani and INEC before the High Court, alleging vote buying and illegal delegates list at the primary conducted on May 27th. In September, Justice Simon Mobeda of the Federal High Court in Jalingo, the Taraba State capital, nullified the election of Boacha in a suit instituted by an ex-aspirant, David Kenti. The former deputy minority leader of the Senate later appealed the judgment and alleged that the ruling People's Democratic Party in Taraba State is the major cause of the APC problems within the state. However, the appellate court on Thursday set aside both judgments. Afenifere chieftain Ayo Adebanjo has joined the Labour Party presidential campaign rally in Oyo, saying it is the turn of the Southeast to produce a president. Adebanjo said this in Ibadan in a solidarity rally in honor of the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi and his running mate Yusuf Dettibaba Ahmed. Party supporters across the southwest region converged on the Lekon Salami Stadium, Ibadan, in honor of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, amidst fanfare. Ayo Adebanjo, who described the Labour Party presidential candidate as a detribalized Nigerian, also took a swipe at the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Those saying I am supporting a Southeasterner because I'm against Bola Tinubu are ignorant. When he was governor, I wasn't envious of him. When he was in Afenifere, I wasn't envious of him. I chased him out of Afenifere. The matter before us now is not about ethnicity, but about the progress of the Nigerian entity.
Today our country is going through numerous challenges: insecurity, hunger, poverty, unemployment, name them. And these challenges is as a result of failed leadership. Failed leadership over the years. Failed leadership of PDP. Failed leadership of APC. And this opportunity that we have to make change this time, we must use it judiciously.
And still talking politics, governors of the People's Democratic Party in the South met in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa State capital, on Wednesday, expressing support for the party's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar and his running mate Ifeanyi Okowa. The governors include Godwin Obaseki of Edo State, Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta, Udom Emmanuel of Akwa Ibom, and the host, Duye Diri of Bayelsa. Addressing journalists after the meeting, Obaseki said the meeting was to support Atiku and Okowa ahead of the 2023 general elections. He noted that the party's regional governors also met in Bayelsa to commiserate with their colleague, whose state was ravaged by floods recently. However, Ri's First State Governor, Nyesom Wike, was conspicuously absent at the meeting. Wike is spearheading the G5 group of aggrieved governors over the emergence of Northerners as the PDP presidential candidate and the party's national chairman. They have repeatedly demanded the removal of Yocha Ayu for a southern replacement. The federal and Zamfara state governments have been urged to intensify efforts to secure troubled communities in the state ahead of the 2023 elections so the citizens will be able to exercise their franchise. Retired Army Professor Muhammad Mienchi and Sheikh Tukur Jangebe made the call in an exclusive interview with Trust TV in Gusau, the state capital, over the fears entertained in some quarters that the 2023 elections may not take place in states facing prevailing security challenges. The report. With less than 100 days to the 2023 general elections, some Nigerians have been entertaining fears that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, may not be able to conduct the polls in some states of the Federation which are faced by some security challenges, especially in the Northwest Zone. However, retired Army Captain Muhammad Mienchi said although the 2023 general elections may be conducted in states which are considered volatile, he called on the federal government to do more in ensuring security of people in the Northwest Zone. Professor Mienchi said politicians have a way to appease terror groups to keep attacks at the minimal during elections, just like what happened in 2019. He says strategies and modalities must be put in place to ensure the security of lives and property during the electioneering period.
To summarize it all, that election, inshallah, will take place in these areas. Then the second aspect of the question, what to be done? The government should do their normal normal tactics, normal way of doing things, of how to bring down issues of security with terrorists when it is time for elections that affect them. We know what to do. Talk to them, and I'm sure they will listen to them.
The Chief Imam of Muslim Foundation Mosque in the Gusau metropolis, Sheikh Tukur Jangebe, advised Nigerian politicians to fear Allah and play the game according to INEC's rules to ensure peaceful electioneering process in the country and shun acts capable of escalating the insecurity situation.
I advise all Nigerian people to support Nigerian government and the security agencies for putting peace and tranquility in this coming election and the campaigns in Nigeria.
Sheikh Jangebe enjoined Nigerians to support government and the security agencies with prayers and credible intelligence to succeed in flushing out terror groups to restore peace and stability in the country. And still talking 2023 general elections, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has reassured Nigerians that there is no going back on the uploading of polling unit level results in real time on election day. Mahmoud Yakubu said this when the Commonwealth Pre-Election Assessment Mission to Nigeria paid him a visit in Abuja. Noel Sampson has more.
The Commonwealth Pre-Election Assessment Mission, PEAM, said the visit was to ascertain the level of preparedness of the Commission towards the 2023 polls.
Our hope is to be able to meet with government officials, senior government officials, yourself, INEC as the electoral management body for the elections. We've also been meeting with political parties. We've been meeting with civil society organizations, media as well. So we're here to hear, to listen, to understand, and to appreciate really what the frameworks are, what the preparations are, and the lay of the land from a political, social, and economic standpoint in preparations for the general elections.
INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakub assured PEM of the readiness of all modalities have been put in place to ensure a free and fair and credible election.
We have a brand new law in Nigeria called the Electoral Act 2022. It's IT-friendly law and perhaps the most progressive legislation as far as elections in Nigeria are concerned. Maybe on that time we go into the working session, we can discuss aspects of it. But perhaps the greatest innovation introduced by the Commission is the bimodal voter accreditation system, otherwise known as the BVAS. It's an electronic device that accredits voters in election. Now it's a matter of fact that all voters in Nigeria are accredited using that device. And in addition to that, we also have a system of uploading polling unit level results in real time election day. And the Commission has been doing so far. We deployed that system for 105 constituencies where off-cycle elections and by-elections were held.
The Commission also reassured Nigerians of the inclusiveness of persons living with disabilities during election, as assistive devices have been put in place to enable them vote. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, is insisting that the deadline of the 31st of January 2023 will be enforced strictly to ensure that the 2.72 trillion naira outside bank vaults is returned to the banks by that date. The governor of the Apex Bank spoke with newsmen at the State House, Abuja, after President Muhammadu Buhari launched the redesigned naira notes on Wednesday. He, however, clarified that the policy was not directed at any individual, but aimed at ensuring that the provisions of the Apex Bank regulating the size and volume of currency that people can hold or withdraw are strictly adhered to. Kehinde Amodu reports.
Perhaps the most striking point made by Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele during the launch of the redesigned Naira notes on Wednesday was that previous attempts by the Apex Bank to change the face of the ratio currencies had been resisted. But it is not a point he pursues.
The discussion to redesign and reissue currency started early in the year. We took painstaking efforts in looking at the pros and cons and the reasons when it should be and why it should be done. And the president, in his wisdom, decided that yes, it must be done. And I want to see this opportunity to appeal to members of the public that there is no need for any insinuations giving the impression that this is targeted at any individual.
Certain groups have appealed for an extension of the deadline to submit all old notes, but the CBN governor is standing his ground and is insisting that there is ample time to change the notes.
There is no local government where you don't have agent bankers that can do this on our behalf. So it's as good as saying we have over 1 million points or branches of banks all over the country where you can deposit and take your cash to. There is no reason for anybody to think that he cannot access cash.
Despite the Naira notes being 100% produced in Nigeria, the Apex Bank governor is confident that they cannot be counterfeited.
If you follow due process to check the authenticity of a currency, take them through the UV lights, you will find that these currencies can never be counterfeited. The best you will find is photocopies of these currencies. To reduce that incidence of counterfeiting or photocopying, that is why we're saying the CBN must now, without waiting, every 5 to 8 years, must redesign and reissue these notes.
It would seem the CBN is downplaying one of the most pressing reasons for redesigning the Naira. The idea is to push Nigeria towards being a cashless economy, and the CBN governor has already put Nigerians on notice that the volume of cash they can withdraw over the counter after this exercise will be strictly restricted. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Now to matters of security, where armed men on Tuesday night invaded Wumat village of Bokos local government area of Plateau State, killing 10 people and injuring several others. Residents of the area told Trust TV that about 20 houses were also burnt when the gunmen attacked the community. Adamu Isa, a resident of Bokos town, said the gunmen stormed the village around 10 p.m. and started shooting sporadically to scare the community and eventually gunned down 8 people, adding that some of the victims have been rushed to the hospital for treatment. The spokesperson of the State Police Command, Alabo Alfred, was yet to officially confirm the incident. The latest attack is coming 7 days after gunmen killed 11 persons and injured some others in Maikatako community of Bokos local government area of Plateau State. Meanwhile, the Office of the National Security Advisor, through the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, has disclosed plans to destroy the over 3,000 illicit small arms and light weapons, as well as other associated materials mopped up across the country. The seizures were made majorly through the various theaters of operation in the northwest, the south-south, southeast and north-central regions of the country within the past 18 months. Addressing journalists ahead of the destruction exercise in Kaduna, National Coordinator Major General Abba Muhammad Dikko, retired, explained that the arms were handed over to the center from the security agencies who are currently in various theaters of operation. He said this is in furtherance of President Muhammadu Buhari's directive to tame the spate of insecurity in the country. He stressed that security challenges has become precarious due to the availability of unlicensed weapons in the hands of people, saying the Commission is saddled with the responsibility of regulating the acquisition and use of light weapons in the country. President Muhammadu Buhari will on Thursday travel to Niamey, Niger Republic, to attend the African Union Summit on Industrialization and Economic Diversification, as well as the extraordinary session of Africa Continental Free Trade Area. A statement signed by a senior special assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, said Buhari is expected to deliver his national statement at the summit, which has the theme Industrializing Africa, renewed commitment towards an inclusive and sustainable industrialization and economic diversification. The President during the trip will also attend the launch of the French version of the book entitled Muhammadu Buhari, The Challenges of Leadership in Nigeria, as well as inaugurate the Muhammadu Buhari Boulevard, named after him by the government of the Republic of Niger. The high-level summit, being convened as part of Africa Industrialization Week commemorative activities, is expected to adopt a declaration highlighting the importance of industrialization and economic transformation in the continent and how to make progress in that regard. The 20th of every November is commemorated as Africa Industrialization Day, adopted by the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the Organization of African Unity in July 1989 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Stay with us on Trust TV News Update. Still ahead, we'll show you how a low-income earner copes with rising living costs. This and more after the break. Stay with us.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
My name is Femi Adebayo. This holiday season, StarTimes is taking us to a better level. You can step up your family entertainment with the StarTimes upgrade promo. You recharge 2 months on Nova Bouquet and get upgraded to Basic or Smart Bouquet. Recharge 2 months on Basic or Smart Bouquet, you get upgraded to Classic or Super Bouquet. And if you recharge 2 months on Classic or Super Bouquet, you get 10 days free on your subscription. This upgrade automatically qualifies you for a weekly draw to win 55-inch smart TV, PA systems, home appliances, and more. These prizes are proudly sponsored by Longreach, Wayon, and Amaz. This promo is from the 15th November to 15th January 2023. Times and conditions apply. On StarTimes, every day is the best day ever. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. StarTimes. Entertain your family.
That's great.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now let's recap our top stories. Court of Appeal has set aside the judgment that nullified the election of Senator Aishatu Binani as the Adamawa State APC governorship candidate. And Afenifere leader backs Labour Party presidential candidate's bid. Now moving on to other news. Now, the Senate has asked the National Council on Privatization and the Bureau of Public Enterprise to suspend the proposed concession of the 700-megawatt station Zungeru Power Plant in Niger State, pending the conclusion of an investigation by its Committee on Power. The upper chamber is requesting the deferment of the planned concession after lawmakers debated a motion sponsored by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Power, Gabriel Suswam, who explained that it will be unacceptable to concession the power plant without ensuring accountability and proper management of unsettled external loans tied to the project. Federal lawmakers, including the Senate President Ahmad Lawan, supported his stance. They pointed out the abysmal failure of the privatization of the electricity sector. The upper chamber adopted to mandate the Committee on Power to investigate the circumstances under which the Zungeru hydroelectric power plant is being concessioned, as well as urge the National Council on Privatization and the Bureau of Public Enterprise to suspend the proposed concession indefinitely. Nigerians are struggling to put food on the table amidst concerns over rising costs of living across the globe. Low-income earning civil servants made the top list of those severely affected, as their monthly salaries barely feed their families. Ibrahim Ismail meets a civil servant who shares his experience as a breadwinner of a family of 10. His report.
Saleh Harisu is a low-income earning civil servant that fends for 8 children and 2 wives. The 45-year-old, whose monthly salary is less than $60, spends energy and money to provide food to his family. He said life is made difficult by high cost of living coupled with increased prices of foodstuff and utility bills.
Daga haka yanayin da ake fama da shi ko da mutum zai yi noma ne gaskiya ba yadda zai yi noma yadda ya kamata.
Even if you wish to engage in farming, it won't be possible without money. You can buy fertilizer that costs almost 30,000. What can you do between buying fertilizer and foodstuff or paying school fees?
Abinci ko kuma da biyan yara makaranta.
The father of 8 said his monthly salary is inefficient to buy grains and pay school fees for his children. Harisu urged the authorities to review salary of civil servants to reflect current economic realities.
Nawa ne za a siya shinkafa, nawa ne yanzu mudunsa 750 800.
Local rice cost between 750 and 800 naira. How can you manage to buy other ingredients and maize or rice, which will cost 30,000 naira in a month? Compare this if your monthly salary is 35,000 naira.
30 a wata. Nawa billa ce ana biyan ka 35,000.
The National Bureau of Statistics has disclosed that 133 million Nigerians are multidimensionally poor. Northeast is ranked as a region harboring the largest number of poorest people in Nigeria. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
And now for a look at the foreign scene, where on the 4th day of an increasingly urgent search, Indonesian rescuers narrowed their work on Thursday to a landslide where dozens are believed to be trapped after an earthquake that killed at least 271 people, more than a third of whom are children. On Wednesday, searchers rescued a 6-year-old boy who was trapped for 2 days under the rubble of his collapsed house. Many of the more than 1,000 rescue personnel are using backhoe loaders, sniffer dogs and life detectors, as well as jackhammers and bare hands to speed up the search in the worst hit area of Siendel village, where the landslide set off by Monday's quake left tons of mud, rocks and trees. Around 40 victims are believed to be still stuck in the soil and rubble of collapsed buildings in the Kuchenang sub-district. Rescuers are also working on other impacted areas to make sure there are no more victims that need to be evacuated, said Henri Afiandi, chief of the National Search and Rescue Agency. The National Disaster Mitigation Agency says 171 public facilities were destroyed, including 31 schools. And in sports, Ghana look to kickstart their FIFA World Cup campaign on a positive note as they get set to take on Portugal in their opening Group H encounter against the Portuguese side currently under the shadow of Cristiano Ronaldo's unceremonious exit from Manchester United. The Ghanaians are hoping to capitalize on the off-field distraction to make a dent in Portugal's World Cup aspirations. However, Portugal midfielder Bruno Fernandes has downplayed Ronaldo's incident, claiming it will not distract his team from doing what is required on the pitch, adding that the players remain 100% focused on the national team and nothing else. Portugal coach Fernando Santos echoed his players' comments by saying the Ronaldo issue was not even discussed within the team and they are fully focused on the game against Ghana. Ghana finished bottom of their group in the Africa Cup of Nations earlier this year, but qualified for the World Cup after beating Nigeria on away goals over 2 legs. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. For more news, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.